What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. A quick video for you guys today to give you a timestamp as I do for all of my episodes. It's about 8:30 on Friday night, February the 28th, 2025. And before I get too deep into this video, you already know what I'm going to say. Be sure to comment, be sure to like, be sure to subscribe. You're not missing any of the most raw, uncut, and unfiltered analysis on your Washington Commanders here over here, Bleeding B&G. And without further ado, man, let's get into this video. Like I said, it was a quick. We're gonna have a quick video for you today, because our guy Jordan Schultz, aka Stone Cold Steve Austin, it seems like Jordan Schultz might have a mole up in there in Ashburn with the new regime. He was the first person to break the news on the Commanders allowing defensive tackle Jonathan Allen to seek a trade. And then today, he shook the winds in the Washington community once again when he reported that the Commanders and the Houston Texans, have had significant interest in trading for the 49ers wide receiver Deebo Samuel, with talks progressing in recent days, sources tell NFL on Fox. Other teams, including the Steelers and the Broncos, have also checked in, but Houston and Washington, give me 1 second, let me click, should have did this earlier. But Houston and Washington are believed to be the most aggressive. So that's interesting to hear. Not necessarily surprising to me, because if you've been reading the tea leaves ever since the 49ers granted Deebo access to seek a trade, I think during Super Bowl season or right after, during Super Bowl week or right after Super Bowl week, if you've been reading the tea leaves, the connections are there. The connections are there with Adam Peters being in the front office, being in that regime that drafted Deebo Samuel to San Francisco prior to the 2019 season, during the 2019 draft. Excuse me. And we need playmakers. We need playmakers. And as I was reading the tea leaves over the course of the last couple of weeks and scouring over, the Washington community, over different social media platforms and things of that nature, I was kind of surprised to see some people scoffing and turning their nose up at signing Deebo Samuel. Now, Deebo is coming off arguably the worst year of his career. But, guys, don't let his run in the playoffs fool you. While I appreciate it, we've been trotting out Noah Browns, De'Ami Browns, Brian Quicks over the course of the last 5 or 6 years. Isaiah Wrights out of that wide receiver room, right? We were, so desperate prior to the 2024 season looking for a wide receiver too, after we traded Jahan Dotson. And it seems like everybody's having a complete 180 because we have a generational quarterback that can seem to get the job done no matter who's at the wide receiver position. Well, guess what? The Philadelphia Eagles showed me it's not a bad thing to have an embarrassment of riches at a position. And fat, out of shape, and injured Deebo will come in and instantly be the second best wide receiver in the wide receiver room and on this offense. And guess what? I don't even think he's that amazing of a receiver. A couple years ago, he referred to himself as a wide back, and that seemed to, might have came in fruition in real life with some of the pictures that were coming out with him and his looking like he had a dad bod in his A.J. Brown jersey. But it is the offseason. And if we can remember, if we can look outside of our Washington Commanders, but I don't know if you guys were able to watch the receiver documentary on Netflix that followed Deebo Samuel during the 2023 season. Deebo Samuel was hurt every week on that episode. Deebo Samuel was hurt every week on that episode because the San Francisco 49ers were running him to the ground. And that was the 2023 season. Then last year, after they lost to Elijah Mitchell, after they lost to Christian McCaffrey, after they lost to Jordan Mason, they started running Deebo Samuel in between the tackles like Derrick Henry. They started running Deebo Samuel in between the tackles like he was Saquon Barkley. And I know there were some reports coming out that said that Deebo Samuel didn't want to be a gadget guy anymore. And I don't necessarily think that's the case. I don't know anything because I'm not in the Deebo Samuel circle. But I just think that he doesn't want to be ran into the ground like they were doing in San Francisco over the course of the last 2 years. I also think this is one of the reasons why he's looking to get out of San Francisco and seek a trade as well. Because we got to remember, he's actively looking for a trade partner on that trade market, and it looked like the Commanders might be willing to meet him at the altar. And I'm not mad at it at all. I'm not mad at it. Honestly, I'm probably more fond of this move than a lot of others that we've been talking about in the Washington community over the last couple of weeks. And I would ultimately be uber excited to bring in a guy like Deebo Samuel for this offense. One of the reasons is that I know he doesn't want to be a gadget player anymore, but I've told you how I think that the cover is bare in that wide receiver room, especially if there's a case where Austin Eckler retires or something and he's not on this roster anymore. That zaps any explosiveness that you have in that wide receiver room, because we know Brian Robinson Jr. isn't giving you much explosiveness at all. And when this news first came out, I'm not going to name any names, but some of the guys in my group chat, y'all know my group chat brothers, Rio Robinson, Tay and Todd, Zach, shout out to all of them. I ain't gonna say which one. But they would, I think they was reading the tweets a little bit and getting caught up in the wind with the Burgundy and Gold community and kind of turning their nose up at the Deebo Samuel trade possibility. And like I said, we trying to comp Deebo Samuel to Terry McLaurin. Don't do that. Comp Deebo Samuel to Brian Robinson Jr. and let me know how your outlook on the offense changes. And I'm not saying that thinking that he's going to be a 100% running back, a full-time running back, because as I said, there are rumors out there that he doesn't want to be a gadget guy anymore. But any explosiveness, any playmaking that we can give to a guy like Jaden Daniels, the more the merrier. The more the merrier. He done already showed you that he looks like he can be the only quarterback that's capable of moving the ball on this Philadelphia Eagles that are set to be dominant for years to come. They were the number one defense in 2024, and it doesn't look like they're falling off anytime soon. But Jaden Daniels was able to throw 5 touchdowns on that ass with Olamide Zaccheaus and Jamison Crowder catching 2. But we turning our nose up at Deebo Samuel. I can't get with it. I can't get with the turning our nose up at Deebo Samuel. Another reason why I would be an advocate of this move is that I believe that any team that is on the hook for trading for Deebo Samuel is only on the hook for, I think it's $17.5 million on their book for this year. And when you're considering the elites of the elites at the wide receiver position making $30 million per year, not saying that Deebo's up there in that elite tier anymore, but he was up there not too long ago during the 2022 to 2021 season. I'm honestly curious to see how he heals and how he feels after a full off season, because we got to remember he also caught pneumonia in like week 3 of this season. I honestly don't think he had a full off season during the 2024 off season to heal up and to get into shape. And then he has a respiratory infection that affects his breathing and affects his ability to work out and ability to get back into shape, into season shape. And I think that just knocked him off the rails for the 2024 season, which was a miserable one for Deebo Samuel. I'm not saying that this is the 2021 Deebo Samuel by any means, but a fat old Deebo Samuel will be an upgrade in the wide receiver room, and you're not taking too much of a financial implication or a financial hit if you do bring in a guy like that. And ultimately, I think that this move, if we do end up signing or trading for Deebo Samuel, I think that the reward severely outweighs the risk, and it seems like Adam Peters agrees with this as well with him. As Jordan Schultz put it, it seems like we're putting the full court press on the San Francisco 49ers, and it seems like we might be the favorites, the leading candidates to be traded for Deebo Samuel. If we can remember when the news first came out that the 49ers were allowing him to scour the trade markets and things like that, the sports books instantly put Washington at either number 1 or top of the line for Deebo Samuel's next team. They were either 1, 2, or 3. And I know some of that had to do with, them making the connection of Adam Peters and Deebo Samuel, but somebody's hearing something. And Jordan Schultz seems to be hearing a little bit of that as well. Lastly, this news coming out today is probably the most surprising thing about this news is the timing of the news. I thought that if Deebo was going to get traded, it would be closer to the June 1 designation where the 49ers wouldn't take as large of a dead cap hit. I think if they trade Deebo Samuel prior to the June 1 cap implication period and things of that nature, I think they're on the books for about $15 or $16 million of a dead cap hit, which is one of the reasons why I thought that they were ultimately going to keep him through the draft and, through free agency and things of that nature. But if we're willing to, or if we're able to trade for Deebo Samuel before free agency starts in less than 2 weeks, before the draft in less than 2 months, it can severely shape the landscape for how the rest of our free agency period, our draft, and our offseason is going to go. So I'm super, super curious to see when and if this trade goes through, if it does. But you heard it here first over here, Bleeding Mean G. The Commanders and the Texans seem to be the favorites and the most likely teams to land wide receiver, former All-Pro wide receiver, Deebo Samuel. And I also think that Deebo Samuel can help you in the kick return game, even if he's fat and slow. If Austin Eckler happens to retire. But thank you guys for tuning in to the channel. As always, as I said at the beginning of the video, hit that like, hit that comment, hit that share button, turn the notification button on so you're not missing any of this content. We got combine coverage going on right now. We got defensive backs out there looking like Olympic track athletes. Like it's insane. The uber athleticism that's being put on display in Indianapolis. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning into this video. Let me know how you feel. Would you like Deebo Samuel to end up being a Commander in 2024, or are you one of the ones turning your nose up at Deebo Samuel? Please infiltrate that comment. I want to hear all opinions and tell me why. Tell me why you want to bring Deebo Samuel. Tell me if you don't, who you want to bring in. And why you would prefer that person over Deebo Samuel. Flood the comment section. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll check in on y'all later. Peace.